I think going live. Code for Philly is Philly's Code for America brigade. We are essentially all volunteers. I'm a volunteer, Pam is a volunteer, Viral is volunteering, and we are all technologists. We work in the technology field outside of this, and we are trying to build tech that helps nonprofits in our community reduce administrative work. So pulling data or maintaining records, logging visits, all of that stuff, a lot of nonprofits do in Excel or they do in systems that actually make their jobs harder. So we're just trying to give them more time to do the work that they want to do by decreasing the amount of time they do on administrative things. So right now, this is part of our, I will lead this over to Pam, part of our fellowship series.
Yes. So a few weeks ago, we welcomed Code for Philly welcomed our first cohort of fellows who have a paid fellowship, so working on technology for nonprofit and do-goodery projects. Yay, fellows! So there is a corresponding as well, because the goal is to for the paid work experience, working on these projects, to feed into work experience, that we have a few professional events. And so we had 2 weeks ago, we had Vicky Boykis came and talked about writing. And this week we have Viral to talk to us about speaking. So the talking about talking talk, which I'm very excited about. And then I think with that, we can kick it to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Code for Philly, for having me here. This time, I want to thank actually Angel Young for sending me the information about this exciting opportunity to take my leadership skills outside of Toastmasters. How did I start? 3 years ago, October 2018, I stepped into the Watermark at Logan Square here in Philadelphia. Panorama Toastmasters written on a banner. Started out as a very shy speaker who only wanted to present one speech and then never come back. I'll do the one speech, take on the microphone. I cried. Yes, me, a confident speaker, 3 years later, I cried during my first speech. The next 3 speeches, I did cry. Very heartwarming, compelling speeches, well organized and drafted. I really wanted to be part of an organization and a support system where my voice would be respected and accepted in a thriving community of emerging leaders. Toastmasters allowed me to develop my public speaking and leadership skills. Fast forward 3 years, I successfully completed the Motivational Strategies Pathway, which is one of the Toastmasters educational programs, and currently lead the club Panorama Toastmasters as the VP of Education. And I serve as a club coach at another Toastmasters club, which takes place on Saturdays, called Philly Phonetics. Now, although I cannot see all of you, I can only see myself, raise your hand if you hate being called on to speak. Raise your hand if you hate being called on to speak, or even a thought of the words public speaking. What happens? You start to fidget with your hands. You start to shake. You have awkward eye contact with the audience. Sweat starts to drip. Yes, we've all been there. Even during this Zoom meeting, I am nervous. I've practiced multiple times, created several drafts, and I am a nervous speaker. I'm wholeheartedly happy to say that. Why? Because I'm human. Here's something to think about. Say after your fellowship, you sign up for a speech, you present your speech, and after you're done speaking, ask yourself, how long do you think people will remember your speech until they forget it? I'll repeat that question. How long do you think people will remember your speech before they forget it? Would it be right after they click the leave on the Zoom meeting? Would it be a day after, a week later, a month later, a year later? While I present this speech, think about how you'd want your speech to hit home. Wouldn't you want to see your audience nodding their head yes, agreeing with you while you begin your speech, present the body of your speech, wrapping it up, call to action, acknowledging everyone that gave you a hand in creating this fantastic speech? Yes. But it's that take-home message that matters the most. In today's speech, in my talk today, I will be helping all of you understand why it's important to brainstorm topics, selecting a topic. What is your purpose? When to say in your speech, importance of facts and figures, crafting your introduction, your body, your conclusion. I will also talk about the benefits of using gestures and facial expressions. Remember, your audience isn't dumb. Your audience can feel, can hear, can see, can sense that passion that you have in your speeches, just like I am right now. If I talk in a monotone, that's not going to get me anywhere, because then you'll probably be bored. Maybe roll your eyes and exit the room. We don't want that. You want to be remembered. You want your speech to hit home. So let's start. What are you most passionate about? What are you most passionate about? Either on a sheet of paper or on a virtual notepad on your screen. Jot down 3 topics that you're passionate about in relation to code. Not what you've heard about in the news, not things that are hot and demand, your passion. Right now, type it in or share them in the Zoom chat. Maybe it's about embarking on a new journey, a new career, or maybe something in research related to code, solving problems, creating solutions, teaching, sharing great ideas. How about a personal life experience that you'd want to share with the group that ties into your specific experience at Code for Philly? Doesn't need to be anything fancy, can just be a couple of words. Jot down 3 topics. Now pat yourselves on the back. You just completed step 1. You completed step 1 of brainstorming topics. You're not procrastinating. You're taking an active approach to letting us know what you're passionate about. Now, of the list of topics, choose one that stands out to you. Choose one. The one topic that says, yes, Pam, I'm ready to take that mic and present like I am ready today. Remember, your audience is very attentive. They can hear, see, sense, and feel that passion. That passion, that specific topic that you're passionate about, that is your topic. Now that we have a general gist of what about our topic is going to be, let's move on to the nitty-gritty of creating and drafting your speech. Think about your topic. Now ask yourself, what's your purpose? Why are you passionate about presenting this specific topic? You don't need to think long and hard. You already know the answer. You guys did the hardest part. You brainstormed and you chose a topic. Now the question is, why? Why should I care? Imagine if I was sitting in the audience. I hear your great introduction. You start your speech. I don't want to hunt for your purpose in your speech. What I want to hear is why. Why is this important to you? What was it about this specific topic that said to you, that gave you that aha moment, the light bulb that popped into your head and said, yes, this is the topic and this is the reason why? As speakers, you want to present a strong message. It's easier to develop a strong message when you have a powerful connection to your topic. I'll repeat that. It's easier to develop a strong message when you have a powerful connection to your topic. The ability to connect with the audience is foundational to any speaker's success. an engaging personality, an opening and welcoming demeanor, and a voice that carries well are all positive qualities that help a speaker connect with an audience. What does that mean? If I read off of a script, you're all going to know it. For example, if I were to look straight into the camera and a little bit above and read word per word and do awkward hand gestures, you're going to know that I'm reading from a script. Because I have an engaging personality and I like to connect with my audience, get the audience engaged. I didn't just start out speaking about speaking. I asked you guys a question. What are you most passionate about? What are some topics? Jot them down on your paper in the Zoom chat. Get your audience excited. Do you know why? Whose moment is it? It's your moment. Use it and own it. In your introduction, state your purpose right away, just like I did in the beginning of this talk. In your introduction, say 3-4 sentences about your key points. An introduction for me is a table of contents. List them. Don't go too much into detail, because once you go into detail, what will happen is that you'll go off on a tangent, tell a couple of stories, get nervous, tie it right back to maybe your purpose, or you'll get lost and there'll be some awkward laughs or eye rolls. Trust me, I've been there. So far, we've covered topics. So selecting your topic, stating your purpose in your introduction, and the contents that should be included in your introduction. We're now going to move into the main context of your speech. Start with your first point. Speakers who cover topics based on life experience will often support their point of view with facts based on research to add credibility. My favorite in a presentation are facts and figures. They're super easy to use. Why? Because you're just reading it off or you're paraphrasing it. But your facts and figures are not beneficial to your speech if you don't use them properly. Use them as benefit to support the problem that you're trying to solve, the specific topic that you're interested in. Facts and figures, credible sources such as academic databases, research articles. My two favorite places to ever look for credible resources are Google Scholar and RefSeek. RefSeek is a great place, has multiple different places where you can pull scholarly articles and include them in your presentation. I recently did a speech on the benefits of practicing tongue twisters prior to presenting a talk. Comment in the Zoom chat who loves saying tongue twisters? Or better yet, who hates saying tongue twisters, but like to see other people mess up? In my talk, I said a credible source. For example, researchers at MIT in 2016 gathered a group of students for a controlled experiment to test whether tongue twisters improve confidence and language pronunciation while presenting in front of a live audience. What happened? Well, a group of students practiced and presented one tongue twister, one for each student, 10 times fast, and then went on to present their actual speech. The result? The majority of students showed confidence in pronouncing words clearly and improving their vocal variety, as well as their overall confidence on stage. I didn't just read the credible source. I gave my source character, passion. I mentioned passion earlier in this talk. I keep mentioning it because as public speakers, regardless if your talk is formal, informal, humorous, educational, research oriented, keep your audience engaged. Hook them. Hook them onto your topic. Throw a curveball if you have to. Use a distraction as your benefit. I once did. Just last week for my business analytics class, there was a student who was texting on their phone while in a Zoom meeting while I was about to give a speech. I bluntly called out the student and I asked, hey, how many setups can you do? I asked several different people the same question. And I said, just like that, I am collecting data. And then I went on to present the speech. I wouldn't recommend calling out anyone in the audience, but it's an example of using a distraction as a benefit. While you are crafting your speech, your intro, your body, your conclusion, try not to write it out word per word. Try to use note cards. I have one here. On your note card, jot down notes. That way you're able to fully express the point that you want to say instead of reading word per word. You give flavor to your context. When you are creating your draft, try to tie in your main points with your topic. As I mentioned before, as public speakers, it's very easy to go off topic on a different tangent than stay on your topic. If you get distracted, don't worry about it. I go off on tangents myself. Yes, you're not the only one. I do it too. I'm an advanced speaker, though I don't like to brag, in Toastmasters. I go off on tangents. I'm fully going to admit that. When you go off to another topic and you suddenly remember, wait, I forgot what I was saying. Do this. Deep breath in, deep breath out. It's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. You're not perfect. International speakers are not perfect. It is okay to make a mistake. You can even throw in a joke to the audience and say, guess what, guys? I forgot what I was saying. And now back to our discussion. You have your first point. And when you move on to your second point, you don't want to immediately say it, gently introduce it. A lot of times public speakers keep saying the words next, 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 or after this, after this. Or they'll say it in numerical order. 1, topic 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Now, you want to make sure that your speech flows properly. What I mean is add in transitions. You said your first point, you're moving on to your second point. Your second point, you can say, in addition to discussing Python programming, this is on the top of my head, I would also like to suggest using R. As you can see, I'm not too much fluent in programming, so this is just off the top of my head. Transitions. You have to use them. Keep your audience engaged. You will know if your audience is bored. Trust me. When you're talking about your second and third topics, keep in mind, include your facts and figures. Heck, include a quote too. One of the best tools that I suggest speakers use is to tell a story. Imagine you're playing a game, and in this game, you have that passionate topic. You start off the intro with a set of instructions. You have the body and the context of your speech where you're going through all the levels, and when you lose, it's like, boo. I'm thinking of a Mario Kart game. And then at the end, you have your scoreboard. Start off with that story. Engage the audience with that story. Remember, your audience is listening. Your audience is super excited up to this point. You've hooked them to the point where they can't wait till what you have to say next. You've finally reached the conclusion of your speech. You're ready to wrap up. One of the biggest mistakes that I've done as a speaker when I first started out and now as an advanced speaker in Toastmasters, I would try to say a one sentence thank you and leave, because the only thing I want to think about is the cold air going towards my face as I hand off the mic and exit as fast as possible. That's not the way to do it. I mean, it looks silly, unless you're planning on intentionally doing that and coming back into the frame. When you are wrapping up your speech, there's a nicer way to end. Summarize your key points. Not in detail, but just summarize them. Summarize your key points to ensure your audience is walking away with your purpose in mind. Do we remember the take-home message example that I gave in the beginning of our talk? How long do you think people will remember your speech until they forget it? We want our audience to remember that one take-home message prior to clicking on the leave button on the top of the screen or on the bottom. To an audience, when you are saying a conclusion, it can feel like the speaker is coming full circle and will signal them that their presentation is concluding. What are some ways that we can end a speech? Summarizing the key points, take-home message. What about presenting a call to action? Suppose you presented a speech where you research a problem and you presented a solution. Right, you have the solution, but you want the audience to take it home with them, right? Present a call to action. And when you present that call to action, use strong active verbs. Use that voice that you have that I'm using right now. Present to your audience telling them, this is what I want you to do. This is what I challenge you with. A choice is yours. They may not remember anything that you have said in your speech, but they'll remember that call to action, but you must initiate it. The end of your speech, maybe the last line, acknowledge the people in your team, acknowledge your advisors, acknowledge the people that gave you this opportunity. Now, so far, we've discussed verbal communication. What about non-verbal? And I'm talking about body language. A lot of the body language you've already seen in this speech. Too much body language can be distracting. My general advice to any speaker is to use gestures, not distractingly. Yes, we do have nervous gestures that we use. Your face has the ability to convey countless number of emotions without saying one word. Use it to your benefit. When you're on a Zoom call, or even when you're on stage, what you don't want is to be hunched over. Because when you're hunched over, your audience is going to know. Stand up tall or sit up straight. Fix your posture on Zoom. As a matter of fact, although I cannot see all of you on camera, I want everyone right now to sit up straight at the best of your ability. Sit up straight right now, shoulders back, strong posture. Tip number 3, tonnage. See what I just did there? I presented a call to action. My voice increased to express confidence and authority. I wanted everyone's attention because guess what? I want you to be engaged with exactly what I'm saying till the very end. And that's my job as a speaker for today. Like I said, your face has the ability to convey countless number of emotions. Use it as your benefit. When you are surprised, I'm going to look closely into the camera. When you are surprised, raise your eyebrows. Raise them. When you're frustrated, narrow them. It looks silly, but it works. It keeps all of you engaged. Try to think of specific actions that when you're speaking, you're able to present them. For example, while you are drafting your speech, suppose you practice it. While you practice it, what if you say to yourself, I'm not feeling this? And you want to present that specific moment in your speech. Here's a perfect thing that you can do. Take that same speech, roll into a paper ball, chuck it. It's time to get working on a new one. Just like that. Just like that, I gave you a gist of what I did to prepare for this presentation. I didn't pull this out of a hat. This speech was not pulled out of a hat at all. As a matter of fact, I'm used to presenting 5 to 7 minute speeches. This is my first time talking for 20 minutes. I've done a workshop in Toastmasters, but I didn't speak the entire time. Practice, practice, practice. It sounds cliche, guys. Sounds very much cliche. You are your own enemy in this. I'm telling you right now, every single topic that we have covered in this presentation, from brainstorming topics, selecting a topic, stating your purpose, asking yourself, why is this important? Drafting your introduction, mentioning key points in your body, drafting your conclusion, nonverbal communication. There's so many more topics that I can discuss in public speaking. I can give you 100 resources right now in the Zoom chat. But the only person that's going to stand in between you and that date when you have to speak is you. You are your own enemy in creating that effective, strong speech in front of your peers. Good eye contact is also key to assuring your audience knows exactly what you're talking about. Right now, my eyes are facing straight at the camera. They're not looking down. They're not looking at other distractions. I'm in a comfortable space talking to all of you. As the age-old saying goes, and this is my absolute favorite quote about eye contact, the eyes are the windows to the soul. People can tell if you're being sincere or not. Remember, your audience isn't dumb. Suppose you ask a question where majority of the people would agree with. Don't just ask the question. Nod your head yes. Although I can't see all of you, nod your head yes if you agree with me. And if you don't agree, say no or nod your head no. Right there, you are connecting with your audience, especially if you're in a crowd that is unfamiliar to you. Don't forget to add in Vero's favorite word, passion. Your audience expect to hear, see, feel, and sense that passion when you are presenting. You take center stage as you unmute that mic, turn that video on, and are ready to say the first couple of words for your speech. When you finish your talk, whether it be at Code for Philly or anywhere else, remember the words of Julius Caesar. I saw, I came, I conquered. This time, I thank you all and everyone for listening. Feel free to ask your questions.
Coming back on video. I really, really enjoyed that, Viral. Thank you so much. So I think, oh, Marika, did you enable everyone?
Yeah, I'm just allowing people to talk.
Yeah.
There's only like 9 people.
Yeah, that way we can, I mean, I definitely have a question because, and I don't know how much experience you have with this or what, but I know that especially since we might still be talking online for a while, like I know I gave a talk earlier this week and speaking online is very challenging. And so I wondered if you had any feedback on that topic or how to keep it engaging when like people are at a computer that's a distraction machine. So, because I found your speech very engaging, and so love to hear about that.
Absolutely. So when you're in a virtual meeting, my one suggestion is before the meeting, before you even join the meeting, turn on the camera on your phone. Turn on the camera on your phone and pretend like you're about to take a selfie. What you all don't know is that I had to remove everything that was here and cover sheets, because the truth is that right now I'm in my room, the phone is against the closet. I had to make a makeshift stage for myself. When you are presenting in a Zoom meeting, in order to keep your audience engaged, ask that question. Point to the camera if you are willing to say, hey, I have a question for you. My question is this. What do you guys think? Pauses. I pride myself in using pauses. I always thought that pauses were a weakness, but no, they're my absolute strength. Because when I pause, I give time for people to nod. Eye contact. It's very important to know where your camera is. Because if I were to look here, I'm actually facing the phone, but not the camera. If I face this way, I know that, okay, my camera is right here. It's very important to face your camera. If you have a laptop or anything that would serve as a place where it wouldn't suit you, what you can do is try using your phone as I am right now. So right now, my phone is my Zoom call. My laptop is right here. Get creative. Get creative with at home Zoom technology. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was super helpful. Yeah, and then you even touched on some of the things I was wondering about the pauses, because those I really I appreciate what you said about, like, you give people time to react.
Yes.
And because I felt like it was easier to listen to you than I have on some different online meetings. And I think the pauses were like really important to that for me. So yeah, so Marika gave everyone speaking power. So if you want to speak, you're welcome to speak. Or if you do not want to, also fine, because you have the power to type your question into the chat or into the Q&A, either one. So as Marika's helpfully.
Unfortunately, I can't see the chat because I'm on my phone. So if there's a
Okay,
question,
yeah. So if there is a question in the chat or the Q&A, Marika or I will ask that question.
If you have a question, now is a great time to practice your speaking.
It's so meta. Everything is so meta today.
I have a question.
Excellent.
Sure. Hey, Desi.
Hi. So the question that I have is, you spoke about finding the things that you are passionate about and using those as brainstorming or fuel for deciding what to speak about. What
Right.
2 or 3 things were you the most passionate about starting out, and have they changed over time?
I thought I was passionate about having my voice heard, accepted, and respected. That reason for joining Toastmasters evolved into leading. Toastmasters is not just about public speaking, it's about leadership as well. Yes, we love having people speak, but in a meeting, in a Toastmasters meeting, we can only have, it depends on the time of the meeting, about 3 to 5 speakers. The rest of the roles are filled by our members. We have easier roles, and then we have planning roles. Planning roles are where you can take your leadership skills to the next level. I know what it's like when a mentor tells me, hey, Viral, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid of speaking in front of people that you think in your unconscious mind that are not going to like what you have to say? The best thing about Toastmasters is this: if you mess up, guess what? We're all gonna clap anyway. If you mess up on a roll, if you say something horribly wrong, guess what? We're going to clap. Thanks, Christine. I like helping new members, people that I don't know, bring out the best in them. What is that one unconscious thought that's going into your brain and telling you, you know, you want to talk about this, but what's holding you back? What can I do as a Toastmaster, as VP education or club coach at Fully Fanatics, and say, okay, here's how I can help you, but you have to meet me halfway. Tell me what tell me what I can do to help your experience be better and how you can be better. So yes, my passion for public speaking and leadership definitely evolved. I wouldn't say change, I'd say evolved from finding a space where I wanted to be respected and accepted to leading members develop as public speakers and emerging leaders in Philadelphia.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question. Anybody has any burning desire to talk or type?
I have one.
Oh, all right. Hey, Bob.
Yeah. I started off with one. What do you do to reduce ums? I a lot, even when I am well prepared and feel relatively comfortable presenting something.
I have 2 tips. One, fill a glass of water, hold it in the hand that you plan on holding the mic. Present as if you're about to do a speech. That always works for me. And second tip, do a half breath. A half breath meaning, for example, my passion in public speaking is helping people bring out the best in themselves. I silently said an but you didn't even hear it. It was a very short, awkward pause, but I used the pause to my benefit. When you're practicing, say it. Say it as many times as you want to. Say it as many times as you don't want to, but include it anyway. Why? Because your brain is going to hear the amount of ahs and ums. It's going to tell you, okay, when I present the next time, when I practice my speech the next time, I'm going to breathe. Do several breathing exercises if you have to. The simple one is this. This exercise, my student counselor taught me at Bucks County Community College. Before you speak, breathe in through your left nostril, 5-second breath, and out through the second one. Do that five times. Breathing exercises, the water glass. Half breath when you want to say the filler word. What I can also do is I can send Pam a counter sheet. We have an counter sheet on the Toastmasters site, and you can count the number of ahs that you said during a speech, if that helps.
Yeah, we could post that link in the meetup event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And someone had a question about something about non-native speakers.
Yes, Johannes had a question about how to give talks when you have a heavy accent, and making sure that people understand what you're saying and can.
People will understand what you're saying. Do not be afraid. Absolutely not. Just because your English doesn't sound like anyone else's, who cares? Diversity is what we like. Diversity is what we accept, right? Yes. When you practice your speech, record yourself. Record yourself speaking, either on your phone, and there's a whole bunch of apps that you can use to record yourself. Play it back. See if you're able to understand it. Maybe reach out to Pam and say, hey, Pam, can I send you this file? It's my speech. Are you able to understand it? Practice it with her. And if you guys want, and this is totally up to you guys, I'm available if you guys want to practice your speeches. It's all free. I'm happy to provide constructive feedback. So if you're unsure about your accent or your filler words or anything else, reach out to me and I'm happy to practice your speech with you. So practice, and do not be afraid of your voice. Your voice is unique and you matter. Got it? Good.
Well, I feel super hyped up. I feel like that's a fantastic note to end on. Thank you so much for all. I really genuinely enjoyed this. So thank you. Do you have any final notes, Marika?
No, this is great. Fellows will post information about how to contact him in the Fellows chat. We also definitely, Code for Philly tweeted your handle on Twitter. So for anybody who wants to contact you, they can also DM you on Twitter.
Yes.
Cool. So you can find him that way as well. And this is super valuable and amazing. And in tech, one great way to get new positions or to break into industry is presenting at meetups, going to meetups, getting involved in the technical organizations that represent what you're trying to learn, like React Adelphia or Philly Pug or Philly DevOps. And most of them are usually looking for people who will come and talk. So practice your speeches, get comfortable talking about it. One of the most humbling things in tech is that there will always be someone who knows more than you, and there will always be someone who knows less than you. So don't be afraid to give a talk. Yeah. Sweet. Anything else? We good?
I think we're good.